United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, take the roll.
O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Holmes.
Here.
DeZiel.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
All right, we have some officers that we're administering the oath to tonight. If you would come forward, please. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You just get your special.
Going back there?
Wherever you'd like.
You want to go up in front? That's fine.
That'll work.
Then I don't have to go behind everybody.
Sue, do you want the microphone?
I can project.
Okay.
But you need the microphone for the recording and the television.
We need it for the recording.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
Do you have anything you want to say first?
I'll say it after while she's doing her thing.
Raise your right hand, please. I, Abraham Taylor,
I, Abraham Taylor,
having been appointed as patrol officer
having been appointed as patrol officer
for the City of Hudson Police Department,
for the City of Hudson Police Department,
affirm that I will support the Constitution
affirm that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
If you want to pin his badge on the chest there, that's fine. Abraham comes to us. He's from Duluth. He actually, pro cycling took him to Southern California, where he did that circuit for a while and then went to school down there, became a firefighter for about 10 years, and then decided to join the good guys and came to law enforcement. He's been in law enforcement for about 1.5 years down in Phoenix and then wanted to come back home. So we were lucky to have him. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Got anybody with you, Bob?
Yeah, Mom and Dad are back, pretty much families.
You want to come stand here with us? Here we go. I, Bobby Moody,
I, Bobby Moody,
having been appointed as patrol officer
having been appointed as patrol officer
for the City of Hudson Police Department,
for the City of Hudson Police Department,
affirm that I will support the Constitution
affirm that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge
the duties of said office
to
to the best of my ability.
the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Officer Moody comes to us. He was born and raised in River Falls. He's been a police officer with the village of North Hudson for the last 7 years and decided to come to the big metropolis. Again, welcome aboard.
Thank you, and congratulations. Next, we have presentations by the applicants for the 5th District Alderperson seat that was vacated with the passing of John, and with potential follow-up questions by common council members. So it's my understanding that there was a process that selected the order. Everybody knows how they're, okay? Step on up to the mic, please. identify yourself,
Yeah.
address, and then I'm going to, just for the council's information, there are 3 questions that I think all of you were aware of that are going to be asked. I will pose those questions to you. You answer those, and then, of course, everybody has an opportunity for additional questions if you'd like.
Sure. I'm Matt Borup, and I'm going to be very, very brief, so bear with me here. We have multiple well-qualified people that have stepped forward to take the vacant council seat. I believe that Sarah Atkins is the best qualified person to fill that seat. John Hoggett was democratically elected to the seat multiple times and was well-liked. None of us can better finish his term than Sarah can. Not because it's the nice thing to do, but no one else can better represent our district's values and our interests than Sarah can. She's well-qualified, and I know she'll do a great job. With that said, I withdraw my application. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Who's next?
Number 2.
Number 2?
Good evening, Council. I know each of you are familiar with me, but for others who may not know me, my name is Sarah Atkins Hoggett. I generally go by Sarah Atkins. I am hopeful to be appointed to serve the residents of the Hudson District 5 as their alderperson for the remaining of John's term. My qualifications for this seat were provided in my letter of interest and my executive profile that I did supply. In summary, I've been a Hudson resident since 1995. John and I moved here as a result of a job change that John had. Brought us from Madison to this neck of the woods. As a native of Afton, this move brought me back home and where much my family and siblings are located. The following year, I founded Archivations, Inc., a business I continue to operate. We specialize in architecturally innovative products for moisture management and building exteriors. We also have a lawn and garden product in the lawn and garden industry for moisture management in containers and planters called Better Than Rocks. The business has been operating downtown Hudson since 2001, and we're currently located at 701 2nd Street. My degree from Madison is in mathematics, so I understand numbers. So I bring both business and finance management experience to the chair. I've been asked to present any specific community concerns that I have. I don't have any specific concerns beyond what I know of the current projects and undertakings in Hudson. Specifically, I see the problems and the priorities being public safety, including fire and EMS departments, the move to Ward Avenue, and the funding and staffing of EMS. I don't think it's any secret that I, like John, am a believer that we can find a staffing and funding solution that includes keeping EMS a publicly funded and city-controlled department. In the Public Works Department, we have many large projects, not to mention Tom's upcoming retirement and the need to fill those big shoes. Infrastructure, of course, includes the corridor study, work on Vine Street, development of St. Croix Meadows, 10-year comprehensive plan. I know there's issues with annexation, establishing a TIF district downtown. Parking, of course, is always a hot topic downtown, as well as the Lakefront Park Plan. So these are some of the areas I'm aware of. I'm not claiming to be an expert in any of those topics, but I am a capable individual. And I do expect that once I'm up to speed on a few of these areas, that I'll be able to make a valuable contribution. As far as goals and expectations for District 5, I simply feel residents should be served by their representative. I plan to be accessible to the residents, folks who possibly need assistance streamlining or navigating city resources with their concerns and requests. This would be the duties that I see that are beyond just the council and committee assignments. So my desire to be on city council with you is to carry on John's mission to be of service to Hudson. I hope to continue this work to make Hudson an ever-improving city to work, live, and play. I do appreciate your consideration today. I'm hopeful you'll be able to vote to appoint me as your colleague on this council. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any other questions? Anybody?
Do you want us to ask questions now?
Yeah.
I'm concerned, Sarah, about the time commitment and understanding that now you're going to be taking over the business completely. And I don't know the commitment that you're looking into with this seating, if you have the time to do that. I don't question your ability to do it, but I do question the time.
That's a very valid concern. In my coming couple of months, I'm rewriting the 2018 business plan for the company, and that would be something where I will probably be seeking outside work to fill John's shoes there. There's not a chance that I can do what he did. I don't actually have that same skill set, and so I'll be hiring soon. Yeah, to do that. So I've thought long and hard and given this a great deal of consideration, and definitely I understand that there's a time commitment, and I've discussed this with a couple of you. But I'm able to step up to that job.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening. I just want to clarify the process. My understanding was we do a brief introduction, Mayor, and then you're going to ask each of the 3 questions?
Yeah, obviously Sarah had the questions she knew. She answered them before I had a chance to ask them.
Okay.
But
Okay,
and
just
you
wanted
can do
to
the same if you'd like, or I can ask them.
Very
Doesn't
good.
matter.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for your time and consideration tonight. My name is Mary Claire Olson Potter. I live at 708 Myrtle Street. First, I want to publicly acknowledge John Hoggett's years of service to the City of Hudson and his outstanding leadership representing District 5. I'm a business development director for HGA Architects for their healthcare group covering Minneapolis in their Rochester offices, and prior to HGA, I worked for AECOM for 10 years. I was executive vice president of the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce and also president of the Hudson Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau for 7 years. With over 17 years of running and working for chambers of commerce, I have had the opportunity to work for and with a wide range of people. In my chamber leadership roles, I represented the interests of 500 members to over 1,200 members, from small retail shops to major manufacturers, similar to an alderperson representing her constituents. I have lived in Hudson for over 17 years. I've been serving on the Plan Commission for the past 10 years and also on the Board of Appeals. As a member of the Plan Commission, I participated in the Comprehensive Plan Update in 2009, which has helped lead the city in an intentional and strategic direction. Thank you.
Mary Claire, just a second. So, do you want me to ask these questions?
Well, sometimes we've done it where everyone introduces himself and then we do the questions, so however you want to do it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, very good.
So, do you have any specific community concerns?
All right, thank you. Hudson is in a very good place right now. The growth has been planned, which has been a benefit to both business and residents. Longtime businesses and new businesses have created jobs even during challenging times. As we move forward reviewing and updating the comprehensive plan, we need to ensure our planning is thoughtful and tactical. The implementation of the Hudson Waterfront Vision Study is a very exciting time to build upon the wonderful resource of the St. Croix River that we have in this community. With all of the development and growth in Hudson, we need to continue to provide services to all residents in a fiscally responsible manner. We need creative thinking to address these issues. We need people on the council who have been responsible for meeting budgets and payroll, just as I have, and can work in cooperation with others to develop solutions.
Okay. Do you have any specific goals or expectations for District 5 for the city in general, or the city in general?
Thank you. District 5 is a wonderful blend of historic downtown and residential community. We enjoy longtime restaurants and retail shops and have been fortunate to welcome new businesses, which has created a very active downtown community. Hudson has gained recognition both locally and regionally, which supports our economic development efforts. We need to continue to grow the tax base by additional business growth in the St. Croix Business Park and also by filling storefronts downtown and on the Hill. In addition, we need to continue to promote Hudson as a great place to live, work, visit, and do business. We need to support a strong infrastructure plan to maintain our streets, parks, and water needs. I will work with the city and the council on the infrastructure plan for the city.
Okay. And you've probably answered this, but I'll ask it anyway. Why do you desire to become a member of the Common Council?
Thank you. I love Hudson and all that it has to offer. I have worked and lived here for 17 years. When I was president of the chamber, I worked in partnership with the mayor and city council on a wide variety of issues that impacted this city. I understand the challenges of working with many different bosses, as I did with the chamber, ranging from 500 to 1,200 members. This position needs someone who can hit the ground running, and I can do that. My 7 years experience working with the City Council when I was president of the Chamber, my work on the Hudson Board of Appeals, and my service on the Plan Commission has given me great training and experience to represent District 5. I will listen to the residents of District 5 and will bring their concerns forward to the Council. I will champion the importance of clean and well-maintained streets, parks, safe water, and a high degree of public safety and an excellent quality of life. I will work with fellow council members and the mayor to address growth and development opportunities. I have the skills, experience, desire, energy, and time to fulfill this position. Thank you for your consideration, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
First of all, thank you for applying. I think your resume speaks for itself with your experience. One of the issues that I know John was really concerned about was EMS. And so do you have a position on EMS in terms of, keeping it publicly owned or potentially selling it off to health partners or something along those lines?
Right.
Like your own position would be?
I know this body has done a lot of work on that issue, and I would withhold my position on that until I've had a chance to study and review all the work that has gone into it already and see where my colleagues stand on that issue.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mary Clara, what was one of your proudest moments when you were the chamber president here for 7 years?
I think it was really the ability when I first came to Hudson, the chamber really wasn't a professional organization and not seen as a professional organization, so it was really elevating the organization in the community. And we really were able to, working with the city to increase room tax dollars, able to really promote this area and this region as a place to live and work and do business. And you can see that through the growth of the St. Croix Business Park and the other businesses that have joined and all the people that have moved here.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question for you, Mary Claire. And thanks again for doing. If this is an appointment piece, has this been a desire of yours to run, or if you perchance weren't appointed, would you be interested in running in the next term?
I went through this process a few years ago, and I did run. I lost by 19 votes, but I've forgotten about that part. No. I am very passionate about Hudson and really want to be a part of continuing to help it move forward, and I would love to represent District 5.
Any other questions? I've got a question, and I guess I would like to ask this of Sarah as well. If you're appointed, I'm going to ask Bill's question just a little differently. If you're appointed, would it be your plan to run for re-election and to election on your own in
Yes.
Next April?
Yes.
Okay. Sarah?
Do I need to go up there?
Yeah, I guess so.
I can honestly say I don't know yet. I've given it a lot of thought. I think I would base my decision down the road in October, November, based on my experiences and my ability to contribute successfully to the projects that are underway. So I reserve to decide later.
Sure, okay. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Mary Claire. And our last candidate?
Hi, I'm Liz Melanophy, and I put my application in for District 5 Alderman. My concerns in the community are that I have seen division in the community, and that I know that it's really important that we have leaders especially on the city council and the mayoral position, who do not run because they're not elected on party platforms, so that we have a very nonpartisan and fair mindset on our city council. I think that's incredibly important. I think you guys are all really good at that, increasingly good at that. It wasn't so great when I first moved to town. And I think John was a huge part of that. To me, he was one of the people who showed me how an elected official can actually do that, listen to both sides, and walk that line. So I think that's one reason that I think it's really important that we have good people on our city council. I think elected officials should listen to and respect their constituents, and I think it's important to have a vehicle for doing so. So I was really interested in creating something like that, maybe besides email, getting together with constituents on a regular basis and talking to them and listening to them. Our city is vibrant and innovative and creative, and I want to keep this a destination for tourists, but I also know it's not just for tourists. It's for our young families that are moving here. It's for people who have lived here all their lives. And I think that we really need to look at our issues and find solutions. It's not a matter of if we can, it's a matter of how we're going to. I also love Hudson very much. John Hoggett inspired me as I saw him doing all of those aforementioned things. And I would want to emulate him as an elected official, as a council member. And that's why I applied for this. But as I see the two people who are here, the two other candidates, I know they're going to be excellent candidates and they would be better than I would. So I'm actually going to withdraw my application also and concede. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, last chance. Any other questions of the two candidates? Okay, so Jen, you want to explain the process?
Yep, so each of the council members are going to get a ballot. I will remove both Matt and Liz's name as they had requested. There has to be four votes to actually appoint someone. So, but I'll pass these out in here in a second. And then you guys can turn them back in and then we'll tally.
Thanks, John.
Might be easier.
All right. So we have 3 for Sarah Atkins and 2 for Mary Claire Olson Potter. So your next step is you need 4.
Okay, so we have to have 4 votes. Just to try to lend some historical perspective, I guess the last time this happened, Bill's seat was held by Mary Yacoub, and when she resigned, we did the same process, and it ended up after either 2 or 3 ballots at deadlock. The seat went unfilled until the next election cycle, and just for your information, if that happens tonight, that would be in November, I believe, right? Or would it be September?
It would be the spring election.
No, I was
We
told.
did a special election for mine.
Oh, you can call a special election.
But it would be in the next cycle, so it would either be in the primary in September or the general in November. All right, so next ballot.
Correct. So we're going to do this again. So we have vote number 2.
How many votes are we going to take?
It's up to you
So it's up
guys.
to you guys. It's really up to you. So, we're gonna put this. So for this time around, we have 2 for Sarah Atkins and 3 for Mary Claire Olson Potter. And then I've marked these 2.
Mr. Mayor, I have an idea. Is that okay? So I would respectfully ask if Liz would re-enter the race, if you would reconsider continuing to put your name into the ring. Are you back there? Yeah.
Yeah, if she's going to speak, she needs to come up to the mic.
If that's the recommendation, then I will. If that helps you guys.
Well,
if,
it's not a
know,
recommendation, it's a question.
It's a question
Yes,
if you'd be willing to reconsider and be on the next round of balloting.
Can I do that? Sure. Yeah, I would do it.
Just asking.
Yeah, it's up to the council.
I guess I don't see where that's going to get us any further, Paul.
Well, I think the dynamic might change. We would have to see. I think we'd have to see.
And if I do that, do you have any questions? Do you want to ask me anything since I just kind of bolted the last time?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So what would be your position on EMS? I know that was really important to John, and that was kind of the center of his campaign.
Well, I think through that process, and I talked to John a little bit through that because I'm on the Urban Forestry Board with him, and I would ask him questions about, what his thoughts were. I really respected that. And I think what he was doing was really, I feel that he was really listening to the people in his district and, voting for moving forward with their wishes. And that kind of seemed to be the case in the community. There seemed to be a strong feeling that we wanted to keep it, to not privatize it and bring in outside companies. And so that was, I think that's what I would do. I would ask my constituents what their thoughts were on it and feelings. And that's what I gauged that whole issue to sort of come down on the side of what he was working toward, which is why I think he was working toward that. So.
And then I want to ask the same question that Mayor O'Connor asked. If you were appointed, would you definitely be up for re-election April? That would be April, right? Yeah.
No. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
If
re-election.
you
I was
was
thinking of the special election. Yeah. April.
Yeah, I would. I've thought about that too. I spoke with John about it when he was running for mayor, and I said, "Well, what happens to your your alderman seat?" And he told me, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, and just dedicated to a lot of other endeavors, and I just felt like this was the right time if his seat was vacated to run for it or to put in for it. So yeah, I think I would run for the seat again during the next election.
And then I want to ask Bill Alm's question. How long were you starting to think about being on the council? Like how many years ago or what in the process?
For quite a few years. Just probably since before I was asked to be on the Urban Forestry Board.
Okay.
And it really kind of, it went back to some really, what I thought were really partisan actions and words on the part of people who were on the council and even in the position of mayor. Years ago when we first moved here, I was kind of shocked by that, coming from a town where it was very clear that the people there could work together, and we came here and I was like, I didn't think you were supposed to really talk about your party or run on a party platform when you're on the city council or when you're the mayor of a city, right? So
would you consider yourself more of a nonpartisan candidate, or would you see yourself approaching council sort of more in that light?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the things that I find is a really exciting and an interesting challenge, is just how do you make sure you listen to everybody? Even if maybe you don't agree with them, how do you bring in all of the thoughts and ideas that people have and make your decisions based on that?
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay, next round. I don't get to vote.
No, you don't. There's no tie here. You're zoning council.
Do we have to put which round it is? Do we have to put which round it is? Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So I have 2 for Mary Claire Olson Potter, 2 for Liz Melaniphy, and I can't say your name, sorry, and 1 for Sarah Atkins.
All right, well, what's your pleasure? You want to give it one more try?
Sure. Yeah.
One more try?
At least the vote's changing, so shifting.
I think we need more information to maybe ask some more questions and dialogue with the candidates. I think that's the only thing that's going to maybe have some movement.
You have some other questions you want to ask?
I have a couple comments I'd like to make about the person I'm interested in.
Sure.
So I'd like to just share. And I'll be very honest, as I'm voting Mary Claire. Mary Claire has worked hand in hand with mayors and the council members in the building of Hudson's tourism, and me being in the hospitality industry, knowing firsthand what the strategy and the fundamentals of when we were early on trying to figure out formulating the room tax dollars and what could best benefit the Hudson and tourism and community for tourism dollars, which we worked a formula out, and it worked pretty doggone good for the Chamber and the Tourism Committee, which was greatly helped expand our footprint through our feeder cities like Chicago, the Twin Cities, the Quad Cities, Madison, Milwaukee. She worked tirelessly on helping get that strategized, strategy formulated, and where we maximized the state limit of what, 74, what is it, 70 whatever, 70% now we're paying to the Chamber of Commerce. She worked hand in hand in doing that. She was part of updating the comprehensive plan. She had great insight for the city on the intentional and the strategic planning when we were doing the updates of the comprehensive plan. I've seen Mary Claire's strategic planning and how will she articulate it, unlike I'm doing right now, kind of stumbling, but she can sell a vision, and she did it by the growth. If you all wonder what happened downtown, look 10 years ago. 7 of those years, she put her blood, sweat, and tears into making what Hudson is downtown. And believe me, there were tears. I've seen it firsthand as being as upcoming, trying to get involved in the business community. It wasn't easy. It was pretty hard. She knows how to build those relationships with the mayors, the council members, business owners from small to large, and she's proven that on her resume from what I can see. She put Hudson on the tourism map. I mean, we are busy. It's a Monday night, and I'm filling my hotels. And she can lead and develop people. She increased membership 36% when she herself just said that our business community and our chamber in particular was faltering. She changed that around, and she put a lot of hard work into it. And you can ask any one of the small businesses downtown, and they're the big ones on the hill. The business park is full because of her and others that had helped. So I thank you, and I think you'd be an asset to sit in that chair. And she's going to run again.
Anybody else?
Has anyone received any calls from anybody in District 5 with a suggestion or choice? Or
I have had people that live in District 5 tell me about Mary Claire. Because honestly, I didn't know where you lived. I knew you lived in Hudson.
Mary Claire, can I ask you a question? Thank you. So if you were to be on the council, can you just give us a sense of your own political leaning? Are you, more partisan toward a
I
party?
don't think that
more?
you can do that.
You can't?
No.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm new at this.
That's okay.
I'm going to ask the same question I asked Liz. That was okay then, which is, would you see yourself more as a nonpartisan player in terms of the council?
My understanding that this is a nonpartisan position, so yes.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Sorry. I just know that when I went door to door, people asked that question. So from a voter standpoint, it was always considered a fair question when I was a candidate. So that's the reason I'm asking it here. But I understand it's important.
Anything else? All right.
I do. I want to talk on Liz's behalf. I just see her, I respect all the experience, and I think ultimately it will be up to the voters of District 5 in April. We're really trying to plug a temporary seat. Liz, I think just knowing you and your background, I think out of John's kind of memory, it's a closer fit for me. And I think you would bring some energy to the table too, so that would just be my thought.
Okay. Everybody ready to go again?
Can I get a point of clarification from the chair or council? Why is now Liz back on? One member requested it. There was no formal action on it.
Well, the question was
He
asked,
simply
the
asked to have
council
it.
is really in charge of the process of appointing. There is no
No. Why she withdrew her name? Why was she back on that last ballot?
Well, she said she was willing to run.
We made a decision, or she's made that decision. One person asked her to re-up, and now all of a sudden
There was an opportunity for council members to object or say, no, I don't think we should go down this route, but
shouldn't
no
work
one
that way.
did.
There should be a formality to put her back.
Well, it wasn't done, and I guess you can ask the council now if they feel that's an
Kind of
appropriate.
too late now, but I don't think that was is out of order.
Well, the council is in charge of the appointment
Well,
process.
here's another way of doing it, is if you wanted to commit to 2 more rounds, we could say that the low vote getter in this round would be taken out of consideration for the next round.
Assuming there's 3 vote getters?
Keeping all 3 in right now, yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see what this says. But
You know,
Well,
and,
you want to, you
and
should,
if you're
that's an
asked,
option, you should make it a decision on that before you vote on
Or
this.
you take this, if you want these back.
Yeah, the council needs to decide if you want to reconsider whether she
I don't
should
think
be
we
on the
did, though,
ballot.
did we?
no, we did not.
No.
But there was time to object, and I
Yes.
guess, if there were greater precedent for this that we could have relied upon,
Yeah.
my bad maybe for that. I
Perhaps,
apologize.
perhaps another way of looking at it would be, she withdrew, we didn't make any kind of motion or acceptance, we
No.
just kind of sat here. So she was asked to re-enter or withdraw her withdrawal. There was no action taken there, so we really took no action at all.
She was asked by a council member if she
willing.
would put her name back in.
Yeah.
She didn't just come right up.
That's
So
goosey.
I guess at that point in time would have been the proper time to object. But my question right now is, as these ballots are being processed, do you want to, if there is no decision in this round, do you want then to have the low vote getter knocked off the ballot?
Let's make that decision after we've
let's count the
counted the
ballots
ballots.
no.
Well, you're setting a procedure for this round of voting, so that would be kind of making the same mistake as before, not setting up a rule or a decision on how this vote is going to go. So I think you should decide on a process.
I've already cast my vote, so I feel like it's...
All right, well, let's just collect them. We probably could have had another vote done by now with the conversation we've had on it, so.
Two for Elizabeth, 3 for Mary Claire.
The council can make some decisions on both the
All right.
candidates and how to conduct the vote.
So, one more time with just the 2 candidates?
Yeah.
Being Mary Claire and Sarah Atkins.
No.
It was
what you're
Elizabeth,
talking?
wasn't it?
It was 2 for Elizabeth, 3 for Mary Claire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So is that what you want to do? One more time with just the 2 candidates? Okay.
Yeah.
So this time it's 3 for Elizabeth and 2 for Mary Claire.
Anybody?
I just have a thought. So if we're not able, if we're deadlocked tonight, my understanding is it goes to an election in November. Is that right?
I think we could set it for
You would have to
September
set a
or...
you wouldn't make for the August, but you would have to set for a special election potentially, and maybe for the November. Would be the, probably
When
be
I
the
went through the
earliest.
process, there were 3 council meetings before they decided to do an election, special election. All with
multiple.
different votes.
Multiple.
Multiple.
This could be placed back on the agenda for the 18th. This could be.
My other question is, do we know what is the cost on like a special election from the city?
Well, it's in the normal election cycle, November cycle.
Oh.
So there would be additional costs for the city because you
for the
are
ballot.
because you are creating ballots for city races. However, it is an already planned election in November, so
Gotcha.
your staffing will already be in
Not like a
place.
special, right?
Yep.
But with District 5 not being represented for the whole summer.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. All right, so thoughts?
At this point, my thought would be to move, to make a motion to, and I'm not making a motion, but to go into the November election, as much as I don't like having a seat vacant.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with that because we've got some, we have an important organization. The Public Works is basically running with 2 of us and without a chair. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We're really sort of hamstrung. We can do it, but we're less than fully effective, I would say.
Well, it's possible to try to prevail on one of the council members to fill in on that committee to give you 3 members. So that's a possibility. So how long were we without a member in District 2?
It's a good question. I think she stepped down in May.
It was a good few months.
About the same.
And then it was
4 or 5
November.
Okay.
It was the election, so.
All right. we got a lot to do tonight. It's going to be a long night, so what are we going to do?
I'd like to bring it back in 2 weeks. And just see if we can get a consensus.
Okay.
Give everybody a chance to think about things.
Bring it back one more time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
I'll make the motion that we bring it back in 2 weeks.
Second.
Motion second to bring us back in 2 weeks. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Yes.
So just a question, is everyone back on the ballot in 2 weeks? Is it the two final candidates? Is it being reopened? What is your process?
This should be the two that we just could not decide on, I would think, by law.
It's
Policy,
the
our
council
decision.
is in charge of deciding its procedure for appointing to fill a vacancy.
We're suspending our conversation. It should be the two we suspended over.
Okay. What does everybody else think?
Makes sense.
I'm okay with that.
We good with that? All right. Do we need a motion for that?
I'll move that, we do that.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Bring back the last two candidates in 2 weeks. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. All right. Comments and suggestions from citizens present. Anybody like to make a comment?
That was very long. Ruth Peterson.
Thank you for that.
We didn't see
Anything else?
No.
Long.
We didn't see your resume.
I'm not in that district. Ruth Peterson with the Hudson Hot Air Fair. I am a little early this year. It is, we all got less clothes on this time of the year. But I am going to announce the dates for February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2019. But one of the things we're doing in the next couple of weeks is we're kicking off the Hot Air Fair with our new theme, Pirates Flying the Caribbean. We're doing a cruise with the St. Croix River Cruises here in town at Lakefront Park on Monday, June 18th. So you're all welcome. There is information on our website, on Facebook, and if you'd like to make reservations for the cruise to help kick off Hudson Hot Air Fair for 2019, you can also go on to stcroixrivercruises.com and make your reservations. So if anyone is interested, but I understand you'll all be here in 2 weeks. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ruth. Any comments? Any comments? We've got, I think, Tony, were you coming up, or?
That was a very interesting slice of government. Thank you. My name is Tony Bowl. I live in downtown Hudson. Joyce, will you hand these out? Last week, a member of the Fire and Police Commission was before you and stated several things. One being the defense of the citizens for the St. Croix Valley. Another being the fear of the Sharia law. And the third saying that the FBI no longer uses the Southern Poverty Law Center as a source for looking for hate groups. That document I have in front of you shows you from the FBI website that indeed they are a partner and they are identified as that, so he stands corrected. But that's not really why I'm here. I'm here because I want to say the definition of Islamophobia. Islamophobia is being put before us because of the citizens for the St. Croix Valley in a big way. The definition goes like this. Islamophobia is the irrational fear or the aversion or discrimination against Islam or people who practice Islam. That's from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Why I say that to you is because Islamophobia is about irrational. And when I speak to this group, in fact, Mayor, I credit you for when you challenged me one time when I mentioned the St. Pat's Syrian refugee, you had very rational arguments. They were not irrational, and I was I was able to have a conversation with you and it made sense to me. And when I think of Randy, who is a very practical businessman, I think if I was a small businessman, I would want to be rational and work with Randy. I've seen him work things through like that. And the idea of working towards a rational environment and a rational conversation is what I believe this city council and you as volunteers trying to make this city better are trying to do. I think you all have diversity in your life. I wouldn't doubt that you have people who have married across religions. You have gay and lesbian people in your families. You have all kinds of neighbors. And I believe that to be true of you. But I believe you're also being represented by the Citizens for the St. Croix Valley. I've included in here 4 quotes, 4 different areas that show the level of irrational behavior that comes from this group. As they handed out leaflets, they wanted to ask, and I'll run to it, do you support a political system of Christians and non-believers that are put in cages and burn them alive? These are the kinds of thoughts this group tries to foster. This is the hysteria they come from. Number 2, in the Hudson Star-Observer, they talked about Muslims wanting Christian women as sex slaves. Are you ready for the Quran-sanctioned sex slavery of your wife, child, and grandmother? This is how they're talking. This is how they're thinking. This is how they're influencing the leaders of Hudson. And then finally, I'll just jump to the end one where it's they were talking to our Mary, who was an African-American high school girl who spoke before you, and they thought she should take karate and not really worry about it, and she should toughen up, and to show the effeminized adults who are mentoring you that you don't need a safe space or therapy. What I'm trying to say is, as leaders are influenced, as our fire and police leadership is taking on information, as now I'm finding out our sheriff's department is meeting with the citizens group and having a discussion. As they bring in hate material, they are continuing to get an audience with leadership. This is a letter. I get tons of these. Like, I've had multiple notes that come to my family with hate mail, and it says, will you continue to support Islam after they take over America? This is not rational behavior. This is not rational thought. Afton is getting an Islamic center coming into their community. When you live in Afton, do you go to Fleet Farm? Do you go to Menards and in Stillwater? You come to Hudson. We're going to see more people with hijabs. We already have people who are Muslim in our schools. We already have people who care about this stuff. I know you are rational, and as this goes forward and you work with the leadership, that you reach out to people who are more trained and more global than the sources that are found from the Citizens for the St. Croix Valley. I encourage you to go to their website, I encourage you to read their headlines, and I encourage you to understand them more deeply than what they say. They are going to say to you that we're trying to take away their First Amendment right to free speech. We don't care. They can speak all they want. We're saying you are the ones who listen. It is not about taking away speech. It is about who is the audience. Our job as the Hudson Inclusion Alliance is to mobilize the moderate majority so they can do the normal things with inclusion in their institutions, churches, schools. That's what we're trying to do so that we can confront those outlandish behaviors and outlandish statements that come from this group. Hudson has the only hate group in western Wisconsin as identified by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and it's something we have to be very careful of as we move forward. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony. Any other comments? Any other comments?
Pat Sabin, Hudson, Wisconsin. And coincidentally enough, I'm going to kind of speak on the same topic that you just heard about, maybe in a little more detail. Like sex and fear, hate sells, and nobody seems to be doing it better than the Hudson Inclusion Alliance, which I'll say HIA from now on. And now they appear to have partnered up with a more well-known hate group, the Southern Poverty Law Center, or the SPLC, which has listed the Citizens for the St. Croix Valley on their hate map from a not-so-anonymous tip. Both the HIA and the Star-Observer reporters selected just enough pieces of information from the SPLC website to sell a few more papers and rally the troops. You need more information, much more. The National Review described the SPLC as a machine for turning leftist hysteria into cash. The Humanist magazine finds that the SPLC campaigns for laws that will effectively deny free speech and freedom of association to certain groups of Americans on the basis of their beliefs. In the article, Demagogic Bully, author Mark Coleman states, the SPLC blurs the distinction between true hate groups, peaceful activists, reputable organizations with which it disagrees. Favoring traditional marriage becomes the moral equivalent of cross-burning. Opposing illegal immigration or amnesty for illegal immigrants equates to advocating genocide. Resisting the spread of radical Islam invokes Timothy McVeigh. And anti-tax Tea Party groups are now indistinguishable from armed militias or Holocaust deniers. All those who oppose the left are by definition fascists, white nationalists, Islamophobes, hate groups, bigots, or extremists. In October of 2016, the SPLC published a field guide to anti-Muslim extremists. The report, which has now been since removed, denounced 15 top voices of anti-jihad education and leadership. Anti-Muslim reformer Majid Nawaz was targeted and has since filed a defamation lawsuit against the SPLC saying, "These people in sweet Alabama decided I don't have the right to speak about my own heritage and critique it from within." Other lawsuits are pending for slander and defamation. Groups known for their violence, such as Black Lives Matter, Antifa, communists, militant Islam, Latin American drug cartels, as well as the Muslim Brotherhood, which is was an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terror funding trial in U.S. history, are not considered hate groups, according to the SPLC. Violence is not a criteria. It is all about ideology. Although the SPLC has partnered with Google to censor YouTube videos, the FBI removed the SPLC from its Civil Rights Division resource list in 2014. The SPLC attempts to influence law enforcement agencies by sending them their intelligence report, a magazine listing supposed bigots, haters, racists, and so forth. Are they implying these groups deserve oversight by police agencies? Vladimir Lenin stated, "We can and must write in a language which sows among the masses hate, revulsion, and scorn towards those who disagree with us." We find this language and more every week in the Hudson Star-Observer, as well as several papers in the Twin Cities. Defamation, used both by the HIA and SPLC, is the destruction or attempted destruction of the reputation, standards, character, or standing in the community of a person or group of persons by unfair, wrongful, or malicious speech of publication. The Southern Poverty Law Center has generated a blacklist reminiscent of the days of McCarthyism in the 1950s. And all it takes is one phone call to get on the infamous hate map we are hearing so much about. We have all witnessed the inflammatory, malicious, and escalating verbal attacks by those who support the agenda of the Hudson Inclusion Alliance against anyone who disagrees with them. One might dismiss what is going on as impassioned rhetoric, but there is a dangerously fine line between that and incitement to violence. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else? Any other comments?
I'm Darla Myers, 1098 Golden Oaks Lane in Hudson. An article titled "Radical Evil Posing as Good" by John Vinson states, "The Southern Poverty Law Center employs strategies and tactics that bewilder and outrage many good and decent people. It poses as a source of moral authority, but while it endorses tolerance and even has a program called Teaching Tolerance, its spokesmen are quick to slap harsh and dehumanizing labels on anyone who dares to disagree with their dogmas. These labels are quite often arbitrary and totally disproportionate to anything the offending parties have said or done. A prime example is the term hate group, which the SPLC applies to organizations it wishes to stigmatize. It's a term with a powerful emotional punch, and to the average person it suggests a violent, law-breaking group one that consistently uses defaming language against its targets. Some of the SPLC's designated haters may fit this description, but most do not. The label of hate group, says the SPLC with breathtaking dishonesty, does not imply that the group is criminally inclined or violent, but that's precisely what it suggests. And that's why the SPLC sends its hate group misinformation to law enforcement agencies across the country. By this action, the SPLC surely implies that these groups deserve oversight by police agencies. The organization's desire to influence police is ironic, given its endorsement of terror bomber Bill Ayers, a self-described militant communist and ex-fugitive, as a Weather Underground domestic terrorist. The SPLC's ruthless and hardball stance against its targets is consistent with the strategy outlined by former SPLC spokesman Mark Potok. He declared, "Sometimes the press will describe us as monitoring hate groups and so on. I want to say that our aim in life is to destroy these groups, to completely destroy them." Many critics of the SPLC have charged it with hypocrisy as it claims to promote tolerance while seeking to marginalize and even destroy dissenting views. Tony Bowl is outside agencies and support systems. Hudson individuals that experience prejudicial actions or hate crimes will be encouraged to also contact state and federal organizations that are not influenced by those that align with Citizens for the St. Croix Valley. You know, I'm just not feeling the love in that statement. In fact, it's seething, dripping with hate. Is Bowl implying that associating with Citizens for the St. Croix Valley is prejudicial? These brown shirt-like tactics should be very obvious to anyone, except those who are truly blinded by hate. Just a reminder, it is illegal to file a false police report. The First Amendment states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." The Citizens for the St. Croix Valley's mission statement has not changed a single word since its inception. Their mission statement is always omitted by enemies of our constitutional republic. The Citizens for the St. Croix Valley strive to protect and preserve the constitutional republic for everyone, including those they disagree with. The Citizens for the St. Croix Valley is not the only target for the SPLC's Yellow Star of Hatred campaign. Wisconsin Department of Justice Attorney General Brad Schimmel and Christian organizations such as the Family Research Council are also targeted. D. James Kennedy Ministries is suing the SPLC for defamation, and we hope to join them in a class action lawsuit. I close with an article that's titled, "SPLC's Sinister Plan Has Backfired Spectacularly. Big Payday After Alabama Supreme Court Justice Dared to Blast Same-Sex Marriage." Alabama's Judicial Inquiry Commission has agreed to pay a $100,000 penalty to lawyers for State Supreme Court Justice Tom Parker, who was investigated at the insistence of the Progressive Southern Poverty Law Center for his criticism of same-sex marriage. So those threats for litigation that some people don't take seriously should be taken seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Darla. Anybody else? Any other comments?
I want to compliment you on the process you went through tonight. It was interesting, and I know it was struggling for you all to go through, especially with the loss of one of your colleagues. So this will be brief. But I had an interesting experience in the last few weeks with the Star Observer and their featured articles and their letters to the editors and the letters of opinions regarding the Great Divide in Hudson. There were endless conversations about two groups in Hudson that had differences of opinion. One group, the Hudson Inclusion Alliance, was accusing another group, Citizens for the St. Croix Valley, of being a hate group. One group, Hudson Inclusion Alliance, had professed that Hudson is non-inclusive and blames the other groups, Citizens for St. Croix Valley, of perpetrating hate in the community. Last weekend, my husband and I took a long drive around Hudson. We've been here for about 30 years. And we commented on the growth and the changes in the community. My husband had recently had cataract surgery, and he commented how clearly he could see without his glasses. He was just amazed. We commented on how the community had changed since we arrived here in 1988. As we drove around, I reflected on how very beautiful this city is and how the community was inviting to tourists and its residents and Hudson and those moving from other communities. The amenities offered far outnumbered many similarly small communities. We saw and commented on the economic growth. When we moved here, the dog track was just being discussed very fervently, to say the least. Roads now are being built to provide better access to the industries. A state-of-the-art high school and athletic field, although sometimes controversial, is amazing. Every time I drive by it, I just awe. We observed housing for the elderly and the low income, housing for the higher income along the river, a huge complex where the dog track was. The demolition of it was just astounding. The new development off Carmichael. Expansion was everywhere. As we drove along Lakefront Park, we observed people of all ages, all sizes, all abilities, and some apparent ethnic origins, variety of a lot of people. We saw people playing, laughing, gathering in groups, biking, skating, swimming, walking hand in hand. Interesting enough, not one person was observed arguing or fighting. We saw no evidence of people who had a difference of opinion trying to degrade another for speaking out with their opinion or their values. We reflected on how very fortunate we are to live in a country that was founded on Christian values, although, again, some disagree. A country that is a constitutional republic, a country that still allows freedom of speech and expression, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, a country where we have the right to keep and bear arms to defend ourselves from those who want to bring harm to us or from a tyrannical government. We have the right to vote for our representatives. We live in a country where Thomas Jefferson coined the phrase in the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that if they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Hudson is a welcoming community within a welcoming country. Within that welcome comes responsibility. There are rules of law. There's an organizational government that allows us to determine what is best for our community for the preservation of peace and tranquility. I ask you, is this a picture of a community that is not welcoming? We only see degradation of our community and her citizens in the newspaper when people unilaterally target citizens with labels of hate in an attempt to demonize them and those who disagree with them. I can see clearly now as my husband. It doesn't take a resolution to make Hudson welcoming. It's apparent that some people perhaps should consider cataract surgery of their vision of Hudson so they can see more clearly just how welcoming Hudson is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening. My name is Kathy Lang, Hudson, Wisconsin. I didn't plan to speak at all tonight.
Okay, when you lift the mic up a little bit there, Kathy, please.
I didn't plan to speak at all tonight, but the word Islamophobe came up and it sort of hit a nerve when describing some of the citizens of Hudson. And it's a word that is overused. And I think anybody who wants to examine Islam and support our Constitution are very, these days, quite fearless and courageous because of the backlash that's given to them. And then this week I was looking for, I don't know, I was just browsing through stuff on Facebook, and I noticed that there's another word which I had never heard of before, and I thought it was really interesting. I'd like to share it with you. It's called Islamophilia. Islamophilia, which is an irrational love and fawning, misguided admiration of Islam, which means people are not holding Islam up in the same way they are holding up Christianity, Judaism, and Buddhism to scrutiny. They're just giving it a pass. Many people are, and I just wanted to know that people to know that there is another side to this story of Islamophobia. There is an opposite of that too, and I think Islam should be up for examination, just like every other religion we have in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Close that portion of the agenda. Discussion and possible action on consent agenda items.
All right, so we have to approve the regular meeting minutes of May 21st, 2018, and closed session meeting minutes of October 16th, 2017. To approve claims in the amount of $1,763,505.85. To approve 22 regular operator licenses and 10 temporary operator licenses on file in the city clerk's office with contingencies listed. To approve 41 renewal alcohol license applications on file in the city clerk's office for the period of July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, contingent on successful completion of building and fire inspections and payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city. To approve a temporary Class B wine license for Relay for Life event at Lakefront Park on June 22nd, 2018. To approve an amusement license for Mendota Valley Amusements and the 9 games contingent on payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city and completion of a background check. To approve St. Croix Riverfest as a community event from July 17th through July 21st, 2018. To approve Halo's Family Fun Day as a community event on August 4th, 2018. To authorize the city administrator to begin the recruitment process for the Director of Public Works and Parks position. To approve Devin Willey as interim city clerk and to authorize the city administrator to begin the recruitment process for the city clerk position. To approve a conditional use permit with no re-review process for Hop and Barrel Brewing Company to operate at 310 2nd Street with conditions. To approve a conditional use permit for Hudson YMCA to have a temporary use structure at 2211 Vine Street with no review period with conditions. To approve the Ragnar Relay route change to running along the walking path in Lakefront Park. To reallocate funds from the 2017-2018 sidewalk program for the letter of engagement and the construction cost for the Hagen Street Trail Improvement Project. To proceed with the Bolton and Mink LOE for a cost not to exceed the amount of $35,100 for the preliminary design phase for the 2019 Vine Street project. To approve the LOE with SCH for engineering services for MS4 documentation, the amount of $27,000. To enter into a stormwater agreement with Hudson Ford Investments LLC. To approve a taxi cab license for A Taxi, Hudson Taxi, including 8 vehicles, contingent on receipt of the required certificate of insurance, background checks, and payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city.
Move for approval.
Second.
Yes.
Okay, we have a...
You have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, I'm sorry, is the... Got it. Is the license application
For Milwaukee Burger is
Yes.
a separate item listed on the
All
agenda.
right, I've got it. All right. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is that right?
Correct.
Roll call?
Morissette?
Yes.
Alms?
Yes.
DeZiel?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action to approve ordinance 15-18, amending the comprehensive plan to include the Hudson Waterfront Vision Study.
Almost there.
The council held a public hearing at the last meeting. This is just a continuation of that, recommending approval of the ordinance, adopting it into the comprehensive plan.
Move to suspend rules.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to suspend. Roll call.
Morissette?
Yes.
Alms?
Yes.
DeZiel?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Motion's approved. Rules are suspended.
Move to adopt ordinance 15-18.
Second.
To approve.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hold on a second. So as I read it in the plan here, it's to put this into the comprehensive plan?
Correct. Yep.
But at the same time, the city is not obligated to do everything in the comprehensive plan. We would talk about it and perhaps go piece by piece, if I'm thinking about this correctly.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
So this just gets it in the plan for future?
It gets it in the plan. It'll help us in, forthcoming grant applications as we look to, implement. We have a plan that supports implementation.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Discussion and possible action on Class B beer and liquor license application for Red Tail Enterprises LLC doing business as Milwaukee Burger Company.
I'll move we approve.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Paul, I don't know that you were here. I thought you were, but were you here when this was on in finance?
I was not, no.
Okay. So I want to give you, I know it's late, but I want to give you a little background on this. I want to give you my concerns about approving this. And it has nothing to do with the organization. I understand they are a quality organization. I understand that they have a great product. My concern is that we are being asked right now to approve the transfer of a liquor license without anybody else having an opportunity to get access to that liquor license.
Okay.
So I just want to correct, saying that it's not necessarily a transfer. It's actually a new application, original application for a liquor license.
Okay.
I just want to clarify that so you.
All right, I get it. It's technical in nature, what you're saying, because
Correct.
essentially it's a transfer because nobody else is applying for it and nobody's been notified that they could apply for it.
I see.
So the Shanghai Bistro has gone out of business. Their liquor license expires at the end of June.
Okay.
We have no liquor licenses left in the city.
Okay.
We have 3 organizations out there right now, at least 3, that have expressed an interest in getting a liquor license from the city. There is no public notice that this liquor license was available. Those other 3 entities there were 4 at the time, and we had 1 liquor license that was awarded. The other 3 were without a liquor license because we have none left on the shelf and none given to us statutorily. At that time, we went out looking for additional liquor licenses. We were told that state statute allows us to purchase liquor licenses from communities that are contiguous to us. And we explored that option with Troy, which said that they would give us 1. And the option expired in August of last year for $50,000. They cost $10,000 here.
Okay.
And the town of Hudson told us that they would sell us 1 for $100,000. Those costs, if the city would have had to purchase them, they would have become the property of the city at that point. Is that right?
No, that's
No?
not how it works. The way it works, just so everybody knows, is that you can enter into an agreement with an adjacent municipality for if they have extra licenses that they don't think they're using, they can transfer them to the city. The license fee is paid not at the time the city does not purchase it. It's the applicant at the time it's issued. The entity who gets the license pays the license fee.
To
to the city then transfers it to the original municipality.
So, well.
So the city doesn't upfront the cost of that license. It's paid by the ultimate holder.
Well, which was where I was going. Ultimately, it was going to be paid by whoever.
Yeah, by whatever business
was willing to pay that amount of money. At that time, the other three entities balked. They just said they were. It was the movie theater was one, Urban Olive was one, and Keys was one. Urban Olive and Keys both have beer and wine, and they just didn't see that the additional liquor sales would make up the difference for the total cost of having to pay up that kind of money for a liquor license. The movie theater, on the other hand, was kind of thinking about it. They are in a different situation because they have no license at all, and their competitors across the river do have liquor licenses. So they consider their competitors pretty much anybody within 20 miles, 15, 20 miles of here. And so the movie theater is paying $250,000 in taxes to the city already. They are somewhat in jeopardy with the competition that they have from across the border. We've checked with the state. We've asked our state representative, and in the past we'd asked our state senator if there was anything they could do to help us out, to provide us relief statutorily. And the problem that we have in Madison is that the chairman of the committee that oversees all liquor licensing is a current or former bar restaurant owner, also the former head of the Tavern League in Wisconsin. And the Tavern League has traditionally opposed any additional licenses anywhere for any reason, because that might be overstating a little bit, but they oppose additional licensing being granted because they're protecting their membership. So we're in a situation right now where we're not going to have an opportunity for liquor licenses for anybody else that would like a liquor license. I wanted to at least stall this process a little bit. I have nothing against Milwaukee Burger Company, but I really think that given that everybody else had to consider paying up in order to get a liquor license, I find this a little untoward that somebody can just come in and have one.
So the normal process would be you would apply for one and it would go through.
Can I speak? I'd like to
You want to ask the chair.
Just for a second.
Not if you're going to contradict me, no.
I'd like to clarify. Well, actually.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. No.
My last. I'd like to just say that the Shanghai Bistro's existing. This is the license that they are applying for. Milwaukee Burger is applying for Shanghai Bistro's license. Shanghai Bistro's license is in effect until June 30th of this month, in 2018. Even though they are closed, our ordinances indicate there's a time frame in there. Once that license expires, then the city by ordinance, Catherine, you can correct me, is going to need to, if they don't grant, the council doesn't grant this license to Milwaukee Burger this evening, they are going to need to publish the availability of this license.
Well, and maybe not. It's the exemption is to a sale of a business in which the exemption to the notice of license availability. There is an exemption in situations where the licensed business is being sold to another licensed entity. That's just regarding the notice of availability, so that we're not restricting. The thought was at the time that we're not making it difficult for a licensed business to sell their business. However, it's only an exemption to the notice of public availability. That's an additional procedure that the council at one point decided for these reasons to add to their liquor licensing procedure, that whenever any other liquor license became available, other than sale of business, that there would be a notice of availability because there was competition for the liquor licenses. And then what happened in the process the mayor described is there were 4 applicants, and they all went through the factors in the ordinance, expansion of tax base, how many employees, location, surrounding areas, all those factors that our ordinance sets up. The council evaluated the various applications and decided to grant that license to a business. The other people are still in the situation that the mayor described. So what came up at finance is that the council isn't under an obligation to issue a license just because someone applies at a certain period of time. You can decide, well, no, we're not ready to issue this license. It's our last license. We want to really look at where it can be best used. It's probably fairly public now that this license is available. It could postpone the decision and allow other people to apply if they're interested. By the same token, the people who applied in the past there is no waiting list, or they don't have any rights in the fact that they applied in the past. What the council would be presented with would be the same type of procedure where there's several applications for a license. They describe what they have to offer to the city, and the council makes a decision. Instead of simply issuing the last license to someone who just happens to apply.
Question for Jen.
Yes.
Was it notified? I believe I read it in the paper. And were there 3 entities waiting for this license?
First of all, there's no waiting list.
Right.
So
there
is no waiting list, so there is no entities waiting.
In Hudson paper.
It was published in the paper that they have that Milwaukee Burger has applied for a Class B beer and liquor license.
Did you have any inquiries after that?
From one of the existing businesses.
But we didn't do the typical notice of public availability.
And moreover, in this case, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know that's not a problem. But
short time.
It's one thing to say that they're applying for a license.
Yes.
It's another thing to say that there is a license available to apply for.
However, we would not necessarily publish that there's a license available to apply for because Shanghai Bistro LLC technically still has
Unless, of course, we wait until June 30th, at which point in time there is a license available to be applied for.
And that's council's prerogative to decide that.
That's right. So, and that's the issue here tonight. Because, and the process that was being described by Kathy was in a time, generally speaking, where we didn't have the issue that we have with liquor licenses right now. Every now and then we've been up against the wall with licenses, but because of population growth and or some special treatment that we've got statutorily, that was not just for us, we were granted additional licenses or capacity. So this is a little bit different, where we're going to be, everybody should be mindful, we're going to be having this discussion again.
Right. That's what I was going to ask.
Not too distant future.
Can I ask a couple questions quick? So if it was awarded to the Milwaukee Burger Company, would it only extend through June 30th?
No.
Oh. No. But if we don't award it tonight, then basically on June 30th, Milwaukee and other organizations could apply for it.
Wait a second. Right. If they get it issued, are they applying for the July 1st through?
July 1st through.
Oh. So Shanghai's going to hold on to it till the end of their term?
Till June 30th. That's what they said. That they would surrender their license subject to Milwaukee Burger.
Well, their license expires on June 30th.
Correct.
So this would start July 1st.
Well, I suppose that could be.
Well, what did they apply for? That's the question.
I can talk.
Yeah.
Come on up and again, identify yourself, please.
My name is Matt Letness. My address again?
Yeah, please.
5805 Emerson Avenue South. I'm in the restaurant business with my family. We have 10 restaurants. 7 of those 10 are in Wisconsin. 5 of those 7 are the Milwaukee Burger brand. We want to expand the Milwaukee Burger concept to Hudson. This would be our 6th location. The Shanghai Bistro closed down, as we saw about a month ago. There's a note on the door, and then I talked to Jennifer, and the process that on the phone, she said that the old Shanghai owner had to write a letter saying that he's surrendering his license to us to take over. That's what we did, and we got that. He's closed up shop.
No, he doesn't surrender the license to you. The license is surrendered to the city.
They would surrender to
the city. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, we want to take over that spot. You know, we think it's a great location. It's already a full service restaurant, I guess. You know, or you know, the building is set up for a full service restaurant on a very busy road, I would say. I would say, you know, just to throw our hat in for us, we're great operators. You know, we've been in the business for 40 years. My uncle and my dad have been in the business for 40 years. I know the restaurant business because I grew up in it. I'm guessing that they were under 20 employees there when they closed. We're going to be adding 80.
Oh, wow.
So, and we plan on buying that building. We almost bought it from the current landlord before negotiations fell off, so we're doing a lease now. But the plan is to buy there. We want to be there for 20 plus years. So, adding jobs, it's a full service restaurant, set up for a full service restaurant, and we're great operators with great history.
Your other restaurants in the Twin Cities is Grizzlies, correct?
The Grizzlies in Plymouth, yep. So that's my dad and my uncle's concept. There's 10 of those, and the one locally Twin Cities is in Plymouth.
So you guys know what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah. And then in Eau Claire, we run the Northern Tap House. There's a Milwaukee Burger there and another Grizzlies there.
Can I ask, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in terms of opening, like do you have a date like when you will be up and running?
Well, I understand if we do get approved, it's 90 days we have to open for the liquor license. So internally that can happen. I know that's going to be tight, but we can get it open in 90 days. The only reason why it is going to be tight just because the contractors, and I'm sure you guys know, subs and contractors are crazy busy right now.
Right.
So,
but 90 days from approval of the license, you're saying, or 90 days from?
We would. I mean, ideally, we're shooting for like September 1st.
Okay.
You know, if that goes to if it goes to July 1st, that'd give us to October 1st. You know, that'd give us some wiggle room. But we're open to either.
I see. So you're kind of waiting for.
Yeah.
You want to get the approval before.
Yeah, we've met with contractors the last 2 weeks there. We're all teed up, but we haven't done anything because of this meeting. So.
Okay.
Just because we have a demo crew that we can get there by Wednesday, but we're not giving that go yet until.
Okay. So to ask the question directly,
yeah.
If you don't get the liquor license, will you build?
Oh, we will not build. No. Just our model, just economically, it's economically better to take over an existing restaurant. You're not moving the kitchen, you're not moving the bathrooms. The hoods are there, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm going to reaffirm my motion, and I also will say that I don't like having empty buildings. I'd like to fill this one. And going back to the conversation that Mr. Weber brought up some time ago about the movie theater and the controlling of the liquor distribution in there, I am still in favor of granting the license to them.
The last liquor license we granted, the telling factor for me was that it was a new business as compared to the other 3 applicants and would add to the business base in Hudson, while the others would not necessarily. You know, it would be.
It would enhance their existing.
It would enhance, but it would not add. So it's a difference in growth perspective. And so I see the same issue here.
I just want my position clear here.
I think you made it pretty clear.
Well, no, I had advocated for the movie theater before, and I would again if they had come in and asked for a license. But I just asked Jen who it was, and it wasn't them. But it might be if they knew one was available, and that's my concern here is that we are just we have a policy And it worked before because we had additional liquor licenses. But now that we don't have any, I think that we really need to review this policy of just saying, okay, to a new business that's going into an existing building that had a liquor license, to the detriment of and exclusion of people that have expressed an interest in getting a liquor license in the past, and we're told you can get one for $50,000 or $100,000. And here you have a situation where it's not going out, there's no notice, there's no opportunity to get this license, except for if you wanted to come in and fill that space.
I think your narrative has been very clear, and I would like to help to try to restructure our policy and to continue the fight with Madison on these issues. And hopefully with your full office behind that to do what we can. We have to. I mean, we're growing, and we're growing exponentially, so we need to do our due diligence. All of us make calls to those representatives or that representative. So.
All right, so we have a motion. Did we have a second?
Yes.
Yeah. Motion and second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, can I get some more clarification on, so the state limits, or it comes from the state level, they limit the number of liquor licenses like cities can have?
Quota
and is it based on, sorry?
Population.
Okay.
Every 500 more people that we gain, we get another liquor license available.
Okay.
I would like to look at the policy as well. I think that, but I don't think that it's a good idea to change things midstream when this applicant is already in the process. But I think that if we're going to make a change in the policy, it should be for future liquor licenses, and we should have a full discussion on it. I think that we should also consider the price of the liquor license and find out more about, do all the communities in Wisconsin have the same price for a liquor license? Is that state?
The reserve license is minimum $10,000 by state statute. It can be more, and I don't know what other communities do. I believe the regular licenses were at the maximum, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the reserve licenses, there is some local control over that, as long as it's the minimum of 10,000.
So I'd like more information on that and on what other communities are doing and things like that. Since they're at a premium, maybe we should consider looking at the price again.
Anybody else?
I think we should probably go back and revisit this with the town of Troy. And if they, actually I'm not sure why we didn't accept their offer, because it was unbinding on us. And
we didn't accept it because there wasn't, none of the entities.
But all we had to do was accept the offer and see if anybody stepped up. We didn't even open the door for them. So.
Well, all three of them that did not get a license that time said, "There's no way in hell we're paying that." I'm sorry, did I say that? There's no way that we're gonna pay that amount of money for.
It's not information that I had.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah, I was not aware of that.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So just to be clear, if we didn't issue tonight and we looked at it after July 1st, the impact on your business would be?
Would we go into, would it be voted on between the next three, whoever stepped forward, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But I'm trying to figure out like a month.
The lease is contingent on us getting a liquor license.
Okay.
So if we don't get the liquor license, we would walk from the project.
And when would the lease is there a date that would expire by?
It's in my bag. I'm not sure.
So I'm just wondering if it was after July 1st. If I don't know what the date is, but if we're talking about a month out, so I'm trying to figure out if we could work it then or something too, with the open process that you're talking about.
Well, when your lease is contingent on getting a license, so it's not going to start until you know you have a license.
Right.
Is that right?
Yep. But we all, yeah, and from a logistics standpoint, we have contractors lined up and stuff and schedules preset, obviously, if that would
what I'm trying to
be
get
delayed,
at is,
then
sorry, what I'm trying to get at is, could you wait a month, and if it was granted at that point, keep going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be an option. You know, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm one of 4 partners with my brothers and my dad. You know, we do have some other projects in our hopper. You know, this is our first priority. I guess.
don't think there's any benefit in this council waiting on this application.
I mean, I think there'd be a possibility that we wouldn't do it if we didn't get it tonight. Not 100%, but there's some other stuff that we have. But we really want to be here, I guess. So.
All right, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, discussion of possible action on final development plans in downtown overlay district design review for 708 offices, 708 2nd Street, Freeze Properties LLC.
Yes, thank you. If the council remembers, on the May 7th, 18 meeting, this property is approved for conditional use permit for the use, which is a mixed-use office and parking building for Saranda. On April 24th, the Plan Commission recommended approval of the final development plans, but there were several conditions that had to be worked through. Most notably, the retaining walls that are on the western half of the property. There were some stormwater concerns that needed to be worked through. Since that time, the applicant's been able to provide detailed plans up to the level that we need them to be in order to move forward with recommendation of approval at this time. There are still some outstanding items on as it pertains to an easement, temporary construction easements, and access agreements that are being worked through at this point. I know the applicant is here, and I believe there's a gentleman in the office that would like to make a few comments as well. Are you willing to? Okay.
I'm Mike Lusher. My wife Julie and I own the property at 700 2nd Street, just south of the 700 properties. I have minor concerns regarding the retaining wall along the north side of our property when the material north of the wall is excavated. There isn't information available regarding the footings for that wall, so in my opinion, there's a small possibility of the wall moving. I'm a civil engineer with a water resources background, and I've talked to geotechnical and structural engineers in my office, and they also feel that there's a small possibility of the retaining wall moving. And I'm not objecting to the project, however, I just want the temporary construction easement to include monitoring of the retaining wall during the excavation and construction process. Thank you.
Thanks.
I will move that we approve it with the conditions laid out by the Plan Commission and adding to him that is monitored through that construction phase of that easement wall.
I'll second.
Does that work for you, Mike?
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. So the only thing I have, is I'm sure you are all aware now that Jen has decided she's going to be leaving us, and that's unfortunate. We're just getting to know Jen, and how long has it been? A year?
Like almost a year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half.
You didn't accept the resignation, did you?
I haven't yet.
Okay, good.
I thought we'd vote on it.
Actually, went to everyone, so
but anyway, I just wanted to express my appreciation. It's been great working with you, Jen. You've been a very big help to me.
All right, thank you.
Can't thank you enough for everything you've done to help me out here, make my job a lot easier. So.
Except for when I contradict you.
Yeah, but I'm used to that.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, that's it's a shame, and good luck to you and your future endeavors. I hope everything goes well for you.
Thank you. I wish you guys the best. So.
And beyond that, as far as future agendas, I really would like to get this liquor license thing resolved. I think it needs to get on. Where does that go? Public safety or?
Well, I'm assuming you want to get rid of that exemption maybe, or
Finance
look
Committee.
at it.
So, because we're going to have some issues coming up here. I'm one for sure that's hanging out there, and maybe a couple. And I really think that we need to make this more fair for other people to have an opportunity to come in and grab, at least apply for one of these licenses.
So can I make a recommendation?
Not to get into it, but there is wiggle room with the next license that we have for hospitality?
River Valley Hospitality.
There is some wiggle room with the new stuff.
Timely extension.
Only if they can go to 300.
Convention
So-
Center.
Um,
I've talked.
Oh,
We'll
yeah,
talk.
yeah, yeah.
Just something else for you to think about when you're talking about alcohol licenses. Catherine had did some research previously about the exemption, some of the possible exemptions. One of those obviously was for setting some fees, I think maybe for special exceptions for like the FIPS. So you mean like the arts.
Well, that's a statutory, yeah.
Yes, but I think the council needed to set some actual.
They need to adopt an ordinance.
Adopt an ordinance.
Yeah,
So
for
that's
the
some
FIPS.
additional conversation you guys probably need to have also to include into that.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, so where does that go?
Well, yeah, we can look at the liquor
Finance?
license. Yeah, I think so.
Doing finance?
Could
Okay.
I just do a point of information, not related to that?
Sure.
So if I'm understanding Wisconsin open meeting law correctly, none of us council folks can talk to other council folks about the appointment of the 5th district? Because I
Well-
think it's the minimum number you could have either to block or pass a piece.
Yeah,
right?
actually, because
two
you
could-
need 4 votes.
Right. So we have to be really
So,
careful just not
yeah.
to have any communication, I think,
Mhm.
between now and 2 weeks.
Move to adjourn.
I've got a.
Oops, sorry, Jim.
I'd like to, at least by the next meeting, to get the public works structure resolved.
Well, I don't know that is going to happen before the next meeting. I'd like to see what the outcome of the appointment process is. I mean, if there is
Keep on talking.
if there is a successful appointment, it makes things a little bit easier to figure out. Absent that, then we'll have to, like I say, try to prevail on one of the other council members to fill in.
Okay, so
I don't intend to do anything before the next meeting.
Right. That's what I said at the next meeting. So if we do not get it resolved at the next meeting, we do not add the 5th district person, then we need to select someone else to help us with that process. Because it's really funny with Paul and I sitting there making motions and seconding all the time. What do you think, Paul? Yeah, okay.
Well,
could be a 1-1 tie, though.
We'll have a tiebreaker. It's working so far, but we're spending money like crazy. No, there are there's some issues that, particularly with Tom leaving now, that there's, I think, some things that we need to wrap up and build and collect information, that's going to leave when Tom walks out the door. So we could use some help.
Okay.
We need to move.
Sounds good. Anybody else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, do you want these minutes?